On 5 News, it was going more than 3 times the speed limit. Investigators delivered their initial report into the deadly Croydon tram crash. 7 people were killed, more than 50 injured. One survivor tells us passengers could tell something was wrong.
You knew it was going to happen as soon as you increased the speed. Everybody was screaming that time. So by the time you get to the corner, you just tumble. 1, 2.
Also, the trial of the man accused of murdering MP Joe Cox. A court hears how Thomas Mayer had a bag of bullets in his pocket. Joe Cox's assistant describes holding her as she lay injured and telling her to think of her children. The shocking number of hours children spend stuck to their screens. Fighting animal cruelty. This dog was saved by the RSPCA. So why do some MPs wanted to stop prosecutions? And this is back. The Black Friday sales come round again, but are the bargains all they're cracked up to be? Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. The tram that derailed in Croydon, killing 7 people, was travelling at 3.5 times the speed limit, according to the initial investigation into the tragedy. It found the tram was moving at around 44 miles an hour, where the speed limit was just 12. One passenger told 5 News that people were screaming as it sped faster and faster into a bend. Our chief correspondent, Tessa Chapman, reports.
They were 6 men and 1 woman, young and old, just going to work that day, but they didn't arrive. Instead, caught up in the worst rail disaster in a decade. Now we know the tram on that terrifying journey was going 3 times too fast. A week on, and Taye Ajibola, one of the 50 injured, is still in constant pain, and he keeps getting flashbacks of the moment he knew he was in danger.
You knew it was going to happen as soon as you increased the speed. Everybody was screaming that time. So by the time you get to the corner, you just tumble. 1, 2, down to the other side.
In fact, data from the tram has revealed it was travelling at nearly 44 miles per hour. The speed limit on this bend is just 12.5. Today's report also found no evidence of any obstructions on the track and nothing to suggest the brakes weren't working. This footage from YouTube shows a tram doing the exact same journey on a different day. The video clearly shows the tram slowing down significantly as it comes towards the same sharp bend, taking its time as it moves. This tram didn't make it round safely, and the report found it travelled for 25 metres on its side before coming to a stop. The wreckage has now been taken away for the full investigation.
We need to understand why it was the tram was driven in the way it was and the factors that may have influenced that, and that is a very important part of our investigation. We also need to understand the characteristics of the tram and how people came to be injured, and there were so many fatalities in this derailment.
The full report will take some time, but the grieving is happening now. Today's information is unlikely to come as a surprise or provide any comfort for the families.
Let's talk to Tessa now, who's in Croydon. Tessa, you said it'll be a while before the full report is out. So what does happen next?
Well, today's findings came from the black box recorder, but what investigators also need to do is witness statements and wait for experts to look through that tram wreckage. Only when they've done all that will they come up with their final findings and make some recommendations. At the same time, there is an ongoing police inquiry. The driver was arrested at the scene on suspicion of manslaughter. He's been bailed until May, and we understand a line of inquiry is whether or not he may have fallen asleep or possibly blacked out. But as all this continues, so the flowers and the tributes continue to grow, the shockwaves are continuing through this community.
Tessa, thank you. The man accused of murdering the MP Joe Cox had a bag of bullets in his pocket when he was arrested, a court heard today. The mother of 2 was shot and stabbed outside her constituency near Leeds in June. At Thomas Mayer's murder trial at the Old Bailey today, how she urged Joe to run, but she couldn't. She then cradled her in her arms and told her to think of her children. Mr Mayer denies the charges. Simon Vigar is at the Old Bailey.
The parents and sister of Joe Cox arrived at the Old Bailey to hear the first witnesses in the prosecution's case. The MP was shot and stabbed in Birstall the week before the EU referendum in June. Her alleged murderer, Thomas Mair, was a constituent. The prosecution says he had a political motive, but he denies the charge. Jo Cox's office manager was with her when she was attacked. Fazila Aswat told the court, "In that instance, our lives changed forever. Jo was on the floor and a man was standing over her with a knife. I said, 'Jo, you need to run.' But Jo said, 'I can't run, I'm hurt.'" Other witnesses today were the unarmed policeman who saw Mair walking in the street and told him to stop. PC Craig Nichols told the court he didn't reply to any question. He just said, "It's me." He moved his hands and we rugby tackled him to the ground. Later he said, "I'm a political activist." The court was then shown a series of photographs of what was found in Mair's holdall. There was a sawn-off rifle which had 3 bullets. 24 bullets were found in a clear plastic bag. There was a dagger and in another bag a leaflet for the EU referendum which was stained with blood. In the aftermath of the attack, CCTV from around Birstall was collected by police and today it was played to the jury. It shows Mair walking around the town in the hours before Jo Cox was attacked. The prosecution case is that Jo Cox is the first MP to be murdered for their beliefs in a generation. Today, the jury heard the first evidence on which they will have to base their decision.
Let's talk to Simon now. He's at the Old Bailey. What else did we hear today, Simon?
Well, it was very tough, of course, for Fazila Aswat to relive the events, Sian. She told the court that Thomas Mair returned to Jo Cox to shoot her, and she then cradled her in her arms and tried to keep Jo Cox conscious by imploring her to think of her children. That, of course, was in vain. The defence QC, the barrister for Thomas Mair, then challenged the police version of events when the policemen were giving evidence. He said not a word was uttered by the defendant. He said nothing like, "It's me," or "I'm a political activist." Well, that was refuted by both the policemen who were there.
Simon, thank you. The number of people out of work has fallen to its lowest level in 11 years. The figures from the Office for National Statistics cover the first 3 months following Britain's vote to leave the EU. The predictions suggested unemployment would rise, but it actually fell to its lowest level since 2005, although evidence suggests the rate of hiring is now slowing. The US President-elect Donald Trump has denied that his team is in chaos as they prepare for their move to the White House. Mr. Trump tweeted that the process of selecting his new cabinet and other positions was very organised. US media say 2 senior members of the transition team working on national security have been sacked. Meanwhile, the outgoing President Barack Obama has said he and Donald Trump could not be more different. Delivering a speech in Athens as part of his final foreign tour as US president, he added, "Our future will be okay."
You may have noticed the next American president and I could not be more different. We have very different points of view, but American democracy is bigger than any one person.
The RSPCA is being told to step back from its role in prosecuting animal welfare cases in England and Wales, according to MPs who examined the charity's role in investigations. They believe any findings should be passed to the authorities, who'll then decide whether to take action. It's a system which already exists in Scotland and Northern Ireland. But tonight, the charity defended its work, saying it was proud of its record of prosecuting animal cruelty. Just a warning for you that Catherine Jones's report does contain images of animals in distress that you might find upsetting.
Ivy arrived at this animal hospital a month ago. She'd been neglected and then abandoned by her owner and was starving, covered with fleas and suffering from a severe case of mange.
Each year in England and Wales, the RSPCA deals with around 150,000 cases of animal cruelty like Ivy's. And in around 1,000 of those cases, the charity funds a private prosecution of the perpetrator, fulfilling the roles that, for most other crimes, are done by first the police and then the Crown Prosecution Service.
This has led to the accusation the RSPCA is too powerful. For example, 2 years ago, this owner got an apology from the charity. They'd wrongly put down his cat and their prosecution of him was dropped.
They threatened us with police action and imprisonment and read us all the rules of the Animal Welfare Act.
In Scotland and Northern Ireland, investigations are passed to public prosecutors, and a committee of MPs now says the RSPCA should do the same.
They do great work across animal welfare, but they fundraise, they campaign, and they also prosecute. And I think we're not certain that all of that is properly divided up. And is there too much interference sometimes with high-profile cases?
But the RSPCA says when animals are victims of appalling cruelty, like these horses found by inspectors in 2008, it's the charity's expertise that ensures the owners are brought to justice.
The fact is we're very good at prosecutions. We've been doing it for nearly 200 years. We have a 92% success rate. And the committee themselves admit that the Crown Prosecution Service doesn't have either the experience or the resources to take over this work.
Several other animal charities, including the Blue Cross, the Dogs Trust and the PDSA, have backed the RSPCA today. They fear without them, many cases of abuse would go unprosecuted. The government says it will consider the MP's recommendations. Catherine Jones, 5 News.
Coming up on 5 News. Remember the mayhem of Black Friday? This year, are all the bargains really that? And the screen generation, why children today are obsessed with all things online.
Do you prefer iPad or TV?
iPad.
iPad. And do you prefer iPad or toys?
iPad.
We'll see you after the break. Hello and welcome back. You're watching 5 News. Theresa May has been forced to defend herself over accusations that she has no real plan for Britain's exit from the EU. The pressure on the Prime Minister has been mounting since a leaked memo suggested the Cabinet is divided over what to do about Brexit. Our political editor Andy Bell joins us from Westminster tonight. What's the Prime Minister been saying, Andy?
Well, Sian, the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said people across Europe, people in the UK don't know what your plan is for leaving the EU. They even wonder if you have a plan. He invited her to tell MPs at Prime Minister's Questions today what her plan was for leaving the European Union. The reply he got back essentially amounted to, don't hold your breath.
Of course, those in the European Union who we will be negotiating with will want us to set out at this stage every detail of our negotiating strategy. If we were to do that, it would be the best possible way of ensuring that we got the worst result for this country. That's why we won't do it.
Theresa May speaking today. Meanwhile, Andy, one of the key players in Brexit, Nigel Farage, he's in the news again. Speculation he may be getting a peerage. Are you hearing anything about that?
Well, the Prime Minister was asked today at Prime Minister's Questions to say if there had been any conversations about Nigel Farage being put into the House of Lords, and she said it is not normal to talk about these things in public. Now, she's right to say that, it's not normal, but of course that set tongues wagging with people saying, but she didn't deny it was going on. Personally, I think it's unlikely. Look at the mood music we've had over the last few days with Downing Street very keen to say Nigel Farage will not have any role somehow as a go-between between President-elect Trump and the UK government. It seems to me strange if they're being so keen to say he's not going to be part of that relationship, and at the same time they might be talking about possibly putting him in the House of Lords.
Andy, thank you. How many parents tell their children to get off that screen and go and play outside? Well, new figures suggest that those as young as 3 or 4 are glued to the internet for more than 8 hours each week, and that children spend more time online than watching television. Layla Hayes has been to visit one mum who says she struggles to tear her kids away from their devices.
Every child in the Hajlakel family loves to go online. Mum Donna reckons they spend at least 2 hours a day on tablets, mobiles or computers, and she worries they're becoming addicted.
Do you try to limit the amount of time that they spend on them?
I do try, yeah. I do take it off after a while and just say, like, why don't you play a game or do this or do something else.
How does that go down?
Depends, really, yeah.
But the Hajlakel family are not alone. Today's report says children are spending more time than ever glued to their screens. The study found children aged 5 to 15 are now online more than 2 hours a day, overtaking time watching TV for the first time. Even children aged just 3 to 4 now spend more than an hour a day online, and that rises to more than 4 hours a day for preschoolers if you include TV and video games. There are no official guidelines on screen time, so experts say it's up to parents to control their children.
They have no off button, they just want to keep doing it. And so as a parent, one of the skills you develop is in managing that. And whether it's an iPad use or whether it's stopping them eating ice cream, that's something that you develop as you're kind of getting to know your child, and you have to put down rules just like you would for anything, really.
5-year-old Bayer likes watching video clips on YouTube. 4-year-old Mohammed prefers games on the iPad. The children's toys are often untouched.
Do you prefer iPad or TV?
iPad.
iPad. And do you prefer iPad or toys?
iPad.
iPad. Would you rather go on this or would you rather play toys? Which one would you prefer? The tablet? Why is that?
Because it has games on it.
Have you ever considered getting rid of all the technology in your house and then just going back to basics?
No, I don't think I'd be able to do that.
It isn't always easy to limit screen time, but if we want to stop children becoming addicted, it might be for the best. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Now, Black Friday seems to be the latest retailing gimmick to get us to grab a bargain before Christmas. But could those slashed prices be just too good to be true? The consumer watchdog Which has found half of last year's deals were cheaper on other dates, and some advertising suggested savings were much higher than they were. Minnie Stevenson has been finding out more.
For bargain hunters, there can be no bigger date in the diary than Black Friday. In the past, a stampede of shoppers eager to get the best deals. But are they? Today, the consumer watchdog Which claimed customers might not be saving as much as they thought. Government guidelines suggest that a reasonable cost comparison to advertise is the most recent price it was available at for 28 days in a row. But Which says last year Currys advertised this widescreen LG TV at $449, boasting it was $899. According to the watchdog, the TV had actually been sold at $499 since August, meaning the saving was only £50. In another case, AO.com listed this Bosch washing machine at $399, saying it was $529, but Which says the item hadn't been on sale at that price since 2014.
When we looked at the deals from 2015's Black Friday, you could have actually bought half of those products for less on a different day in the 5-month period running from 3 months before Black Friday to 2 months after.
Today 5 News contacted 2 of the retailers in question. Currys told us, "We fundamentally disagree with the approach taken by Which in this report and comply fully with the PPG guidelines." Those are the government's rules, displaying a clear date from when the was price was taken. While AO.com said, "We offer the most comprehensive and clear price match guarantee to our customers and are continually changing prices to ensure we offer the best price in the electricals market." And retail experts say our obsession with bagging a bargain knows no bounds.
On a very sort of psychological and evolutionary basis, we need the best possible return on our investment. And our investment is not only the money, it's also the time and the effort it takes to actually find that bargain.
So are you a savvy shopper?
I'm quite careful, I do my shopping around.
Do you?
But yeah, if it's like someone that I normally shop with, then I do trust them, I suppose.
Can't trust the big names at all.
Really? Why not?
Yeah, they're all thieves. You can't trust.
Online.
All the way?
All the way. I've done it last year, I'll do it this year.
While this year's Black Friday is fast approaching on November the 25th, the advice from consumer experts is don't take everything at face value. That great deal might not be such a steal. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
Good advice. And if you want some more, then Matt's here. He's going to be talking about Black Friday as well on 5 News Tonight, aren't you?
I'm with you. I haven't got the shopping deals at my fingertips or anything like that, Sean. I'm not talking bargains, but we will have more on that Black Friday story. We can all get carried away at the chance of a bargain, can't we? But when is it the real deal? When are we, in fact, being ripped off? We'll hear, in fact, from a retail expert about what to look out for. Also, how do you get the kids off those screens? We'll hear from the experts there about how Britain's viewing habits are changing, but not necessarily for the better. We'll also hear from one very special little girl.
So what's your mummy doing on the sofa? Is her eyes open?
Well, that's shut.
That's shut. Is she injured? Is she hurt herself?
Feels really poorly.
She's feeling poorly.
That is 4-year-old Susie McCash, and she helped save her mum's life by calling 999 when her mum suffered an allergic reaction. We'll hear her amazing story at 6:30, Sian.
4 years old.
Just
That's
4.
incredible, isn't it? Thank you, Matt. Look forward to that. That is it for now. Claire Nazir has got the weather for you next. I will see you again tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Matt, of course, back at 6:30. Thanks for watching tonight. Goodbye for now.